How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fine, but I'm really worried about, what's to come in the next few days because my cousin he's a soldier in the front lines in eastern Ukraine at the moment, and they had the day off yesterday. So I actually shared some pictures on the Instagram he sent me, and, it's just horrifying, I don't know what's going to happen soon.
What is he worried about? What are, when you talk to him, are his concerns about the war crimes and the brutality of the Russian tactics? Are they about the treatment of civilians? Just take me through what he's saying.
Well, look, first of all, you need to know his story. Basically, he was a level lawyer in Donetsk. He had the house right next to the Donetsk airport. So literally his house was one of the first ones destroyed when Russia first attacked Ukraine back in 2014. He moved out out of the occupied territory. He built another house in Volnovakha, and that house has been leveled literally a few weeks ago. And he actually got to see his house being destroyed. So, his battalion was fighting outside the Volnovakha, so he saw everything. So, look, for him, it's a matter of, fighting for his country to the very last T-shirt he has, because he called me. One of the stories he told me when his house got destroyed, he said, look, I suddenly realized that, my backpack, my Kalashnikov, and two T-shirts that I have is all that I have in this world. So, and his family, he moved his family out of Volnovakha to Poltava, then further westwards. But, Ukraine is full of stories like that.
People who 55, 56 days ago were going to jobs in offices and doing the same, stupid stuff we do here, are now on the front lines of a war, and in his case has watched two homes destroyed by the Russians. Tell me what your fears are for, maybe you know more than we know, for what has happened in Mariupol.
Well, Mariupol is literally, as one of the Azov battalion commanders described it in his letter to the Pope, is hell on earth. So in Mariupol, there's this steelworks called Azovstal. It's got a series of bunkers where the last remaining soldiers and civilians are hiding. There's more than 1,000 civilians. They're mostly elderly and women and children. And Russia has begun heavy bombardments with, the heaviest bombs they have. So for them, they're willing to slaughter 1,000 innocent civilians. And, that's what's happening there. Another terrible story developing now, the city of Mykolaiv in southern Ukraine is under intense fire at the moment. I've got a few friends there, and, we've been exchanging text messages, and they're saying, it's very intense tonight, and, the electricity is out in some parts. But look, the Battle of Donbass has officially started. And, that's going to be the battle that will not only determine, the fate of this war, but, the future of the world. I know it sounds, very pop culture, but it's true.
Say more.
Well, look, I'm less worried about the Battle of Donbass. As I said, Ukrainian armed forces are, our hope here, and the best diplomat that we have in our bilateral relationship with Russia. I'm more worried about another battle that's beginning in the world now. And, I describe it as the battle for lessons learned, because, I was doing an interview a few days ago, and literally as I was waiting to kind of go on there, I heard, a lot of displeased people commenting in the West about, how they're hurting at the gas pumps. But look, first of all, Russia attacked Ukraine back in 2014, and, Russia came out of hiding with its intentions 8 years ago. So, we have electric cars, we have hydrogen vehicles, we have hybrid transport. So we have 8 years to prepare, and we've done nothing. Angela Merkel of Germany gave up on nuclear power, saying that she's fearing another Fukushima. Well, now she's probably fearing another Hiroshima because of what she did. So, that's the reality. That's the battle that we need to kind of fight at the moment. And like, look, I really hope that, we're going to learn a lesson soon, because, one of the last stories that President's office told me yesterday was, about a few American banks that are winding down their business in Russia. They're winding it down, I quote. So, like, literally, we're going to be done in a few months or years. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, let people of Mariupol sit and wait for you to wind down your business, since you had 8 years to to prepare, for this. So, unfortunately, that's the turbulent times that we live in. But, I really hope that, humanity is going to learn these lessons.
There is an exasperation that you're echoing that President Zelensky reveals in an interview with two journalists from The Atlantic who were on this program with Ann Applebaum. And it's not in the context of the banks, it's more in the context of the weapons. And he basically says, I feel like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. Every day I wake up and have to go over the list again of the weapons that we need. You and I have talked a lot about, I think, a third fear that you've had, and I'm sure you still have, about our attention span in this country, that a slap can distract us from some of the bloodiest days of the war. In this country, there's a lot of awe at your president's ability to maintain the focus of this White House and this president and the West. So just take me behind the scenes in understanding what you feel like is working and where your concerns lie about people getting distracted or taking too long, or the toll, the cost in civilian lives. I mean, we haven't talked yet about the targeting in Lviv, but you've got the first civilian deaths there in a place that a lot of people in your country and mine thought was safe.
Well, first of all, my heart goes out to the 7 people that lost their lives, 7 innocent civilians who lost their lives today in Lviv. But let me just describe the horrible kind of brutal reality of this war. It's 7 people in a war that's taken lives of tens of thousands. So, I've spoken to a friend in Kiev today, and he said, look, we just got so used to it, got so adapted. And that's what I'm worried about. I mean, if people in Ukraine are getting used to the death and destruction surrounding them, when are we going to see that fatigue in the West? Because I mean, it's for everyone. It's like Apollo 12. Apollo 11 made it to the moon. Great. Apollo 12, nobody remembers. And I'm starting to see the signs of it. So that's one of the worries that I have. What President Zelensky is actually trying to do, the reason he speaks directly to the people of the Western countries and to the parliaments, to their direct democratic representatives, is to kind of try and glue and unite Western society back together. Because one thing, look, Russian's military hardware might be obsolete. So, that Moskva cruiser is, sleeping with SpongeBob at the moment. But at the same time, they know what they're doing in terms of the economy and in terms of disinformation. And they've divided the Western society. There are some radical politicians, like Kremlin stooges, winning elections. The economy, the greed being weaponized. Look, I'll give you one example. There won't be any funny stories today because, the Battle of Donbass is starting. I can't force myself to laugh about it. So a semi-positive story. Remember that Tuckerless T-shirt that I wore to, one of the shows that we did?
Yes.
So I saw a guy wear one in Europe today, and, they're being sold all over the place. And that's the way, our kind of corporate kind of greedy nature works. Because I mean, one of the reasons actually, that idea came from an idea for a brand that my older daughter and my wife had, called Brandless. So basically, everything that you can do without, everything ending with less. And, I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of launch it and kind of donate all the money to Ukraine. But I was a bit preoccupied with the war, and people are just selling them all over the place now. And, we blame Germany for Nord Stream 2, or the banks for winding down their business over a few years in Russia. Look, Russia is going to mobilize now against the enemy that they have. And their enemy, as they say openly in their state media, is the collective West. When are we going to mobilize and make sure that we win this for the free world? you.